Hello my beautiful crafty friends, I am Katia with Lunar Sun Creations, and today we are going to be playing with some scrap clay. I have a whole bunch of scrap clay and I just wanted to use some of it up. So we're going to be painting it and doing a watercolor kind of technique. It's really simple, it's really fun, and I'll be using some Arteza iridescent paints. They don't have names, but it's kind of like a blue, a coral, an orange, and like a mint green that I'm going to be using today. I've got some scrap clays that are just mixes of a whole bunch of other clays, and I just want to use them up. So this is kind of like a deep brown kind of color. And then I've got this like flesh tone kind of color, which has been accidentally marked with a whole bunch of inky black fingers. So I just want to use it up because you won't actually see that black in this project, and that's why I'm using it for this. So again, it's just random mixes of a whole bunch of different clays, so I don't have specific colors for you, but use this with any kind of, you just need a dark and you need a light. We're going to put the light on the dark. These are rolled out together on a setting 0, and we are literally just going to slather this with some paint. So got my paints all in a little dish here. Ignore this, this is just some old paint. And I'm just gonna take it and just do little splatches all over. You could make little designs if you like. You know, just play. Today I just literally wanted to play. My brain is not feeling like it wants to do too much, so we are literally just gonna put some paint on some clay. You know, sometimes your brain just needs a little break from thinking, and so these kinds of projects are perfect because they just allow you to not have to think too hard. So the idea is just to cover the whole piece with some splooches of color, whatever color you so desire. Just gonna rinse out my brush here and go with my other 2 colors. Now this is gonna take a little while to dry because I am putting it on kind of thick-ish. Just splatching it in. Okay, and as soon as you have got all your clay pretty much covered, it's okay if there is a couple spots not completely covered, that's totally fine. We're just gonna let it dry, and that's gonna take a while. It's probably gonna take about an hour or so to dry, so we will be back in an hour. Okay, once your piece is dry, we are going to roll out some translucent clay on the thinnest setting that you can manage. Mine is on a setting 8, so it's like paper thin. And then we are going to lay it as smoothly as possible over top of our clay. And I'm just gonna get this little corner here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm just gonna give it a roll on there. Cut off the excess, just make sure there's no bubbles in the translucent. Okay, so I just rolled that through my pasta machine on a setting 2 just to make sure that the translucent was very much secured to it. We're just gonna slice it in half. That wasn't quite even, but that's okay. And I'm going to stack them together because I want this to be on both the front and the back. Okay, so now that I've got it on both sides, I'm going to take it down just a little bit thinner. So maybe like a setting 2. Okay, and now I'm actually going to trim off these little edges here because I do want the pattern to be very much on both sides. I don't want any extra of this brown because that's going to be a little bit too harsh, I think. Want there to be contrast, but not quite that much contrast. Okay, so now I'm literally going to take this and I'm going to rip it in two pieces. I'm going to lay out all my pieces onto my work surface and just keep ripping it very randomly. And the fact that there's that dark and light color in between, when we stack this back together, that's going to give it some definition and a little bit of contrast. You'll be able to see a little bit of it through where the pieces overlap. Okay, and once all your pieces are ripped up like that, we're going to put them back together very randomly. And you want them to overlap a little bit. Try and vary up where the different colors go. All right, so because I missed part of the ripping up and putting back together on the other one, I decided to make a second one. This one in like purple and pink and blues. So it's to the same spot that the other one was, where we're just about to start ripping it into pieces. It's back to back, rolled out on a setting 2 at the moment. So fairly thin-ish. That's a little bit too big of a chunk. And I'm going to make sure that when I put it back together this time, I am on camera. Okay, so I've got it all ripped up, and now we're just going to start. Make sure that I'm doing this on camera, Katya. So I'm literally just putting pieces, overlapping just a touch, trying to make sure that the colors are kind of in different spots. The only difference with this one is that instead of a kind of a brown background, I decided to use like a deeper kind of muddied purple from my scraps. And making a very rough kind of rectangle here. Ooh, I like the way these colors are coming together. I think this one's gonna be pretty. Okay, so it's in a very rough shape, and now I'm just gonna give it a little roll. And use a piece of paper to give it a little smooth. I'm going to run it through my pasta machine once and then do some cutting. This one looks very watercolor-esque already. Okay, I'm going to do some different cutters for this one. I got all into that and realized that I wasn't even on camera. So this is what I've done. It's literally just taking the pieces, layering them on top of each other, just overlapping a little bit to form a pattern. And then we're going to roll it out, flip it over, roll it out again. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then we're going to put it through the pasta machine on a setting 1 just to make sure it's all stuck together. And you see how that dark color that's in between really makes all the different pieces stand out. I'm going to take a sheet of white printer paper and give it just a little bit more of a rub just to make sure that those pieces are really attached together, and try and smooth it out just a little bit. This also removes some of the fingerprints. Alright, and now I'm just going to put a little bit of saran wrap over top of this. Just this helps to give a domed finish when you're cutting out your pieces. So I'm going to lay that on top. And then I'm going to cut out some pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to use this really simple flower cutter. And then I'm going to give them a little bit of texture and then bake them up. And I'm not even too concerned with where I'm putting these because I think every little part of this is really cool looking. So I'm just going to make a bunch. Okay, perfect. Let's remove this. I'll take all the extra bit. You can even restack all of these extra pieces and do it again, which is what I think I might do. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of smooth out the edges here with my fingers. And then I've got this cool flower veiner from Polymer Clay Tools on Etsy. And I'm just going to put the flower in there and then close this up. And it gives it this really pretty kind of texture. There we go. Okay. All right, so it gives it a cool texture. So I'm just going to do that to all of them and bake it up. And here are a couple of the finished pieces. So I've resined them to give them a nice domed finish. This is the first one that I did. The colors don't pop quite as much as I thought they would on this one, but I still like them. And these are the second batch that I did, the purple ones. And I like the colors in this one. If I had black clay, I would have used black as the background instead of the purple, because the darker the background, the more you're going to see the definition in between the colors. And here's one more that I did. So they're still very pretty and I like them a lot, but next time I do it I will use black and I'll use some brighter colors, I think. So that is watercolor technique on polymer clay. I hope you'll give it a try. It's a really fun technique and it's so easy and the results are really, really pretty. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Sending you huge hugs.